Welcome, everybody, to this deep dive, and today we're going to be looking at something really interesting, the link between self-love and posture.
Yeah.
You've been curious about how these two things connect.
Yeah.
We're going to be unpacking that today using a conversation between Dr. Stephen Ward, who's a posture expert, and Sam from the YouTube channel, The Posture Dojo.
Sounds good.
So, you don't want to get ready for some surprising insights.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this is about. I mean, self-love and posture, how do these things connect?
Right? It's like, what?
Yeah.
But Dr. Ward, what's so cool about him is he doesn't just focus on the physical mechanics of posture.
Right.
He goes deeper into the emotional roots and how self-love can actually be this powerful tool.
Oh, interesting.
For change.
Okay.
Not just how we feel,
Yeah.
but how we literally hold ourselves up.
Yeah. I mean, our bodies are fascinating. Like, they can reflect so much about what's going on inside.
Right, exactly.
So I'm curious to see where he goes with this.
So let's start with something I think a lot of us have heard growing up, which is, if you're going to do it right.
Oh, yeah.
I know I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, that's like classic.
It seems harmless.
Right?
You know?
You would think so.
Like standard advice, like why not do things right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, who wants to do things wrong?
But Dr. Ward, he suggests that it might be more loaded than we realize.
Okay, how so?
He calls this a symptom of generational inadequacy.
Generational inadequacy.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term before.
So it's this idea that we're always trying to seek validation for our actions. And by doing things right, that's how we earn the approval.
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
It's like, look, I did it right. Praise me. Approve of me. But that deep-seated need for validation a lot of times comes from us not feeling truly validated.
Oh, interesting.
Like from our parents.
Okay.
Maybe even earlier generation.
That's fascinating. So it's almost like we're trying to get something that we didn't receive ourselves from other people.
Right, exactly.
Even if they might not be able to give it to us.
It's like we're trying to fill this void, emotional void, that might have been passed down through our family.
Right. Like inherited almost?
Yeah, and it's like we're seeking approval from people who might themselves be carrying these unmet needs.
Oh, yeah. So the cycle just continues.
And this whole cycle of seeking validation can manifest physically in our posture.
Okay, so how does that look?
You know, like we might hunch our shoulders.
Oh, I see.
Round our back.
Yeah.
As if we're trying to make ourselves smaller.
Protect ourselves.
Protect ourselves.
Right. I've definitely noticed that in myself. Like when I'm feeling insecure, stressed, I tend to hunch over.
Right.
It's like my body's trying to hide or disappear.
It's almost as if our bodies are mirroring those deep-seated feelings.
That's really interesting.
Of inadequacy.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
So how do we actually break free from this cycle?
Yeah, that's the big question.
And how do we cultivate that genuine self-love?
Yeah. I mean, self-love gets thrown around a lot these days.
Right.
But what does it actually mean?
And Dr. Ward really seems to pinpoint this as the key to better posture.
Okay, so self-love equals better posture. I'm intrigued.
Right?
Like, how does that work?
So he actually defines self-love.
Okay.
Not as this feel-good concept, but as a series of actions.
Okay.
Choices that we make every single day.
So it's more than just like a feeling.
It's a way of being.
Right.
It's about treating ourselves with kindness.
Okay.
Recognizing our worth.
Yeah. And actually doing things that reflect that.
Yes.
Not just thinking about it.
Right. And making choices that nourish our well-being.
It sounds simple, but I think a lot of us struggle with that. Like putting ourselves first.
Right.
And making those choices that are actually good for us.
So he calls it actively engaging. What he calls actions of love.
Actions of love. That's a cool way to put it.
I know, right?
So what would be like some examples of those?
I mean, think of it as choosing nutritious food.
Okay.
You know, that actually fuels our bodies.
Yeah.
Moving our bodies in ways that feel good.
Right. Not punishing ourselves at the gym.
Right.
But actually finding movement that we enjoy.
Exactly. And even setting boundaries in relationships.
Oh, that's a big one.
That might be draining us.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in people pleasing.
Right.
And neglecting our own needs.
It's all about prioritizing our well-being.
Yeah, putting ourselves first for a change.
And honoring our needs.
That's so important.
So it's about showing up for ourselves consistently in tangible ways.
Yeah, not just talking the talk, but walking the walk.
Through those actions, we actually start to shift that inner dialogue, you know, that voice in our head.
Right, the one that's always criticizing us.
Exactly, from that self-criticism to one of self-compassion.
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Actually be kind to ourselves instead of constantly putting ourselves down.
And that shift in energy from judgment to acceptance, that's what starts to actually transform our posture.
Whoa, so our thoughts can actually change how we hold ourselves physically.
Dr. Ward observes, when people cultivate self-love, their spines lengthen, their shoulders relax, their whole presence becomes more grounded.
Interesting.
Confident.
So it's like an inside-out transformation, starting with our thoughts and feelings and then radiating outwards.
So self-love, it's not some abstract idea. It's a practice that has real impact on our physical bodies.
I'm starting to see the connection now.
So Dr. Ward takes it a step further. He suggests that specific spinal curvatures can actually reflect emotional patterns that we've inherited from past generations.
Wow, so our posture can actually tell a story about our family history.
So, for example, he says that a rightward spinal curve in men might indicate that they had a dominant female figure in childhood.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe leading to, unresolved stuff with their dad. And then maybe a subconscious desire to actually seek validation from women.
Wow, so it's like their body is literally leaning towards the source of their unmet needs.
I know, right?
That's powerful.
It's like, whoa.
It's like our bodies are trying to tell us something.
And what about women?
Yeah, does he observe anything similar?
So he suggests that leftward curves in women can sometimes be linked to experiences of father abandonment.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Leading them to unconsciously seek out masculine energy.
So it's like they're trying to compensate for that missing energy.
As a coping mechanism.
Right. That makes sense.
These seemingly physical misalignments can actually be outward expressions of really deep emotional patterns.
It really makes you wonder what else is going on beneath the surface.
It makes you wonder what other aspects of our lives might be influenced by these inherited patterns.
Exactly. Like, is there more to this than we realize?
This is all super insightful.
It is.
But if we recognize these patterns in ourselves, how do we heal and create better posture?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
So that's where the practice of self-love becomes truly transformative.
Right. So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts.
It's about embodying them. Feeling them in our physical being.
So it's like taking it from our head to our heart and our whole body.
So he talks about these embodied affirmations.
Embodied affirmations? What are those?
I know.
I'm intrigued.
It's not just saying phrases like, I am worthy.
Right.
It's genuinely feeling that worthiness in our bodies.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, that's the part I'm not getting.
Because it's like, what does that even mean?
Exactly. How do you feel worthy in your body?
So imagine you're standing tall. Shoulders relaxed, heart open. And you're repeating the phrase, my best, I.S. enough. But don't just say the words. Feel them. Resonate in your chest, in your spine, in your whole being.
So it's like really connecting to the meaning behind the words.
It's about aligning your physical posture with the energy of the affirmation.
I see. So it's like we're sending a message to our body.
Yes.
That we believe this.
We're creating this coherence between our thoughts, our feelings, and our physical body.
Right, bringing everything into alignment.
Like we're sending this powerful message to every cell in our body that we are enough. We're worthy of love.
That's beautiful.
Support.
I love that.
And Dr. Ward explains that this practice can literally shift our vibrational frequency.
Wait, vibrational frequency, what does that even mean?
So think about it. Everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. So when we cultivate self-love and we embody these positive affirmations, we raise our own vibrational frequency, which can have this ripple effect on our physical and emotional well-being.
So it's like we're tuning ourselves to a higher frequency.
Yes.
And that can impact everything from our mood to our physical health.
It's like we're tuning ourselves to this higher, more harmonious frequency.
So it's not just about posture. It's about aligning our whole being with this frequency of self-love and acceptance.
And that alignment starts to reflect in how we hold ourselves, our posture, and even our overall health and vitality.
So it's like self-love is the key
yes.
to unlocking our full potential.
It's like we have the power to literally change our bodies.
Wow.
By changing our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Mind-blowing.
It is. It's like we have so much more power than we realize.
So we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
Generational patterns.
Yeah.
The meaning of self-love.
Right.
Embodied affirmations. Even vibrational frequency.
It's a lot to take in.
I know, and there's so much more to unpack.
I'm ready for more.
So stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive.
Can't wait.
We're going to delve even deeper into Dr. Ward's insights.
Yeah, good.
And how we can apply all of this to create a more aligned, authentic way of being in the world.
Okay, looking forward to it. Awesome. So it's like all these little things we do, choosing like healthy foods or, like setting boundaries with people can really have a big impact on how we hold ourselves.
It's like sending a message to ourselves.
Right, exactly.
Of self-respect, self-care, and our bodies are like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, they're listening.
They're responding.
It's all connected.
But it's not always easy, right? To make those choices all the time.
It's definitely a practice, for sure, yeah.
To keep showing up for ourselves.
Totally. Dr. Ward talks about recognizing those moments when we're seeking validation from others instead of, turning inward. And he has this interesting example about sitting versus standing and how that reveals a lot about a person's relationship with self-love.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So, he's observed that some people can maintain pretty good posture when they're standing.
Right.
But then they completely collapse when they sit down.
Oh, like they slouch?
Yeah, it's like they're putting on this good posture show for the world.
Right.
But then when they're alone or they feel relaxed, they kind of let it all go.
It's like social media. Yeah. People have this, curated version of themselves.
Totally.
But behind closed doors, it's a whole other...
It's a different story.
Different story.
And that disconnect can show up in our posture, too. He says it's not about striving for perfect posture all the time. It's more about becoming aware of those patterns, like, why are we slouching? What's going on there?
So it's more about self-awareness than self-judgment.
Exactly, yeah.
But what do we do with that awareness? Like, how do we move from noticing the slouching to actually changing it?
Well, that's where those embodied affirmations come in. It's not enough to just think, I am confident. You got to feel it in your body, too.
Okay, give me an example. How can someone apply that to their posture?
Okay, so imagine you're sitting at your desk, right? And you notice your shoulders are all hunched up around your ears, like you're carrying the weight of the world. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, consciously relax your shoulders, lengthen your spine, and imagine a warm light radiating from your heart center. And as you do this, repeat the phrase, I am open to receiving love and support.
So it's like pairing that physical shift with an affirmation that supports that shift.
Exactly.
It's like retraining our bodies and minds to hold ourselves differently.
You got it. And he suggests using these affirmations throughout the day, not just like during meditation or something.
Oh, so we can incorporate it into our daily life.
Yeah.
While we're commuting.
Yeah, totally.
Waiting in line, even doing chores.
Yeah, it's like creating this constant stream of self-love and positive energy.
That impacts our posture and well-being.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Earlier, you mentioned Dr. Ward observed connections between specific spinal curvatures and potential health challenges.
Right.
I'm intrigued by that. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so he's noticed that certain curvatures often correspond with particular emotional tendencies and even predispositions to certain health conditions. Like, for example, a pronounced curve in the upper back, sometimes called a dowager's hump, might indicate a pattern of, like, carrying burdens and responsibilities.
So it's like the weight of those burdens is literally reflected in their posture.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
Wow.
And he suggests that addressing the underlying emotional patterns and learning to, like, release some of that burden can actually improve posture and even reduce the risk of developing related health issues.
That's incredible. It really shows the mind-body connection in a profound way.
Absolutely.
But I imagine some people might feel overwhelmed by all this.
Right. It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot. If they recognize these patterns, where do they even begin to address them?
Well, he emphasizes these observations aren't meant to be diagnostic, but just to offer insights. He encourages people to view their bodies as allies, not enemies, and to listen to the messages they're sending.
So it's not about freaking out if we notice a certain curve in our spine, but rather approaching it with, like, curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity and a desire to understand what our bodies might be trying to tell us.
And what can we do to support ourselves?
Yeah, exactly. And he emphasizes that true healing involves addressing the whole person, not just the physical symptoms. And a big part of that is cultivating self-compassion.
Which feels like a huge part of self-love,
Absolutely.
being kind to ourselves,
Yeah.
especially when we notice those patterns that we want to change.
It's not about striving for perfection, but about taking small, consistent steps toward a more aligned and authentic way of being. And those steps often start with just a deep breath and a willingness to listen to our bodies with kindness and curiosity.
I love that. Kindness and curiosity feels like a much gentler approach
Totally.
than the self-criticism a lot of us are used to.
Yeah, it's about working with our bodies, not against them.
So what are some of the specific techniques he recommends for cultivating self-love and improving posture?
One of the most powerful tools he talks about is mindful breathing.
I've heard a lot about mindful breathing, but how does it actually connect to better posture?
So when we breathe deeply and consciously, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which basically helps calm the body and mind. And this allows us to release tension that we're holding in our muscles, including the muscles that support our spine.
So it's like creating that sense of ease in the body so it can naturally find a more aligned posture.
You got it. He also talks about the importance of diaphragmatic breathing, which is basically engaging the diaphragm, that big muscle beneath the lungs. And when we breathe this way, our bellies expand on the inhale and gently contract on the exhale.
I think I've read that can reduce stress and even improve digestion.
Yeah, it's amazing what breathing can do. It also creates space in the chest cavity, which allows the lungs to expand more fully.
Okay.
So this can improve oxygenation and energy levels, which can also positively impact posture.
It's crazy how something so simple as breathing can have such a big effect on our physical and emotional well-being.
It really is. He encourages us to make it a regular practice, not just during like meditation or yoga, but throughout the day.
So we can do it at our desk, walking to the store, just waiting in line.
Exactly. Those little moments can make a big difference.
So we talked about breathing. What about movement? How does that play a role in self-love and posture?
He's a big advocate for mindful movement. And it's not about forcing ourselves to exercise. It's more about bringing awareness to our bodies as we move throughout the day.
So like noticing how our bodies feel when we're walking, standing, sitting.
Exactly, yeah. Pay attention to those sensations. Move in ways that feel good and supportive.
So listening to our body, honoring its needs, what are some examples of mindful movement that people can incorporate into their lives?
Walking's a great one. He suggests that we can make it more mindful by paying attention to our posture as we walk. Like imagine a string attached to the crown of your head, gently pulling you upward.
So lengthening the spine and engaging those core muscles.
Yeah, exactly. You can also pay attention to the sensations in your feet as they connect with the ground and the rhythm of your breath as you walk. It turns an everyday activity into a mindful practice.
I love that. It's like finding those little opportunities throughout the day to connect with our bodies. What other types of movement does he recommend?
He's a big proponent of yoga, which combines mindful breathing with postures that stretch and strengthen the body.
And what are the benefits of yoga for posture specifically?
Yoga can really help improve flexibility, strength, and balance, all of which are essential for good posture.
Right.
It also helps us develop body awareness and release tension that we might be holding in our muscles.
So it's very holistic practice.
Absolutely.
That addresses both the physical and mental aspects of posture. What about other things, like dance?
Yeah, he loves dance too. It allows us to express ourselves creatively and just move our bodies in joyful ways.
I used to love to dance. I need to get back into that.
It's so good for you, and it reminds us that movement can be fun. It doesn't have to be a chore.
Not another thing on the to-do list.
Exactly. He really encourages people to find forms of movement that they genuinely enjoy and make them a regular part of their lives. It's about cultivating a positive relationship with our bodies, not about forcing ourselves to do things we dread.
I love that. It's not about perfect posture. It's not about those crazy workouts.
It's about feeling good.
It's about listening to our bodies, making those choices that support our well-being.
Exactly. And through those choices, we start to really embody self-love in a tangible way.
This is so eye-opening. I'm really starting to see how self-love is the foundation for good posture.
Absolutely.
It's not just about how we look, it's how we relate to ourselves.
It's an inside-out transformation.
On a fundamental level.
Yeah.
And as we continue exploring Dr. Ward's insights, I think we're going to go even deeper into how this connection between self-love and posture can really change our lives.
I can't wait to hear what else he has to say.
So it's amazing, right? Like breathing, walking, even just moving with intention.
Right.
It's so powerful.
It is.
For self-love and improving our posture.
Yeah, and Dr. Ward really emphasizes consistency. Like, It's not about just doing these things once in a while. It's about making them a part of your everyday life.
It's like, those small, gradual changes that build up over time.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Exactly. And not expecting to change everything overnight, but just making those sustainable changes.
Right. And as we do that, like as we cultivate self-love and we move with more awareness, we start to notice those subtle shifts in our posture.
Right.
And just like how we feel overall.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that Dr. Ward uses these positional images in his practice.
Yes.
And I'm kind of curious about that. What are those?
So he takes pictures of the spine in different positions, like standing, sitting, bending forward, to get a more complete understanding of a person's alignment.
So it's not just about how we stand up straight.
Right.
It's how we hold ourselves in different situations.
Yeah, like someone might have a relatively straight spine when they're standing, but then when they sit down, their lower back totally curves.
Oh, interesting.
And that might suggest that there are some emotional patterns that emerge when they're in a more relaxed state.
It's like when we let our guard down.
Right, exactly. It's like those subconscious patterns come out.
And he uses these pictures to actually pinpoint those areas of imbalance.
Exactly, and then create a more personalized treatment plan.
Makes sense. It's not one size fits all.
No, everyone's different.
And that's what's so cool about his approach. It's not just treating the symptom.
Right.
Looking at those root causes.
The emotional, the energetic pattern.
And it's like a holistic approach.
Totally.
That recognizes that interconnectedness of our physical, emotional, even spiritual well-being.
It's all connected.
I feel so inspired to bring more self-love and awareness into my life.
I love that. It's a beautiful journey.
And I'm sure our listeners are feeling that way too.
I hope so.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating connection between self-love.
It's fascinating.
And posture.
It is.
And we hope you leave feeling empowered.
Yes.
To embrace that power of self-care.
Absolutely.
To create a more aligned, authentic way of being.
In the world.
And remember, self-love is an ongoing journey.
It is. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and trust your body's wisdom.
I love that. Thanks for being here.
It's been a pleasure.